The satellite image landed at 4 in the morning.
A 240-meter vessel, 40,000 tons of steel, drones, missiles, and ambition sitting in the Persian Gulf, fully loaded, fully armed. Irish Shahid Bagheri, Iran's most classified, most dangerous, most expensive military project. The ship that was supposed to permanently shift the balance of power across the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea.
CENTCOM looked at that image for exactly as long as it took to authorize the strike. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. Here is what you need to understand about why this ship frightened American naval planners more than almost anything else Iran had ever put in the water. Irish Shahid Bagheri was not a conventional warship. She began life as a commercial container vessel named Persian, a massive civilian cargo ship with a 22,000 nautical mile range and the ability to stay at sea for an entire year without refueling. Iran's Revolutionary Guard took that hull and turned it into something the world had never seen from a regional power. A drone base. A 40,000-ton weapons platform wearing the disguise of a merchant vessel.
U.S. Central Command described her as World War II aircraft carrier-sized, and that comparison was not casual. She carried a 180-meter ski jump runway bolted to her portside, capable of launching fixed-wing Shahed drones far out over open ocean. Inside her converted cargo hold she carried more than 30 high-speed attack boats, the same swarm craft Iran had used to harass American destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz for years. Her missile batteries included Noor, Kowsar, and Ghader anti-ship systems. She had her own air defense network, her own command tower, her own intelligence suite. She was, in every meaningful sense, Iran's first aircraft carrier. Except she was built to be invisible, hidden behind a civilian silhouette until the moment she was not. That moment never came, because the Americans had been watching her since before her conversion was complete. Let's talk about what it actually takes to destroy a 40,000-ton vessel, because the physics here are extraordinary. Shahid Bagheri was not a frigate. She was not a fast attack craft. She was a massive steel structure loaded with fuel, ammunition, drone propellant, and attack boats. Destroying something that size requires not just a precise strike. It requires hitting the right targets in the right sequence to trigger catastrophic secondary explosions. The strike package targeted 3 critical nodes simultaneously. First, the drone runway and aviation fuel storage on the port side, the heart of her offensive capability. Second, the internal hangar spaces housing the attack boat fleet, where densely packed fuel tanks and ordnance created a chain reaction kill zone. Third, the primary missile battery and fire control systems, eliminating any defensive response before it could be mounted. The result was exactly what satellite imagery confirmed within minutes. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper stated the ship had been rendered inoperable, the careful military language for a vessel burning from stem to stern with no realistic prospect of survival. The fires that consumed her were not ordinary shipboard fires. They were secondary explosions, drone fuel, missile propellant, and attack boat tanks all cooking off in sequence, turning the 240-meter hull into a bonfire visible from 40 kilometers away. And here is where the story becomes something far more significant than a single ship sinking. Iran's propaganda machine had spent days telling its own people and the rest of the world that they had sunk the USS Abraham Lincoln. State television broadcast fabricated footage. Government officials repeated the claim on international media. Then CENTCOM released the strike footage of Shahid Bagheri burning in the Persian Gulf, and a single statement cut through every lie with surgical precision. The only ship that sank belongs to Iran. This one. That message was not addressed to the Iranian people. It was addressed to every military command on Earth watching this conflict unfold. Russia, China, North Korea, every nation that has studied Iran's asymmetric naval doctrine as a potential blueprint for challenging American carrier groups. The message was simple and brutal. We see your most secret projects. We track them from the day the first weld is laid. And when the moment comes, we do not send a warning. We send ordnance. Shahid Bagheri had been Iran's answer to a question that had haunted the Revolutionary Guard for 2 decades. How do you project drone and missile power beyond your coastline without a conventional navy? How do you threaten shipping lanes in the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, the Gulf of Aden without being detected as a military asset? The answer was brilliant in concept. convert a civilian hull, maintain plausible deniability, and deploy a floating drone base that looks like a cargo ship until it does not. That concept died in the Persian Gulf in a column of black smoke that reached 3,000 meters into the sky. And here is the detail that makes it truly brutal.
Iranian engineers had spent years making Shahid Bagheri look invisible.
They succeeded at hiding her identity. They failed completely at hiding her location. In the current era, there is no such thing as a secret 40,000-ton vessel. Every satellite pass, every radar emission, every heat signature told the same story. The Americans were reading that story long before Iran finished writing it.
The strategic accounting of her destruction is staggering.
Iran invested years of engineering, billions of rials, and its most advanced drone integration technology into this single platform. She represented the entire future of Iran's long-range power projection doctrine, the ability to take the Shahed drone threat that had terrorized Ukraine and Israel and deploy it from international waters anywhere on Earth. That future no longer exists. With Shahid Bagheri gone, Iran's drone warfare capability is anchored to its coastline, fixed launch sites, known coordinates, targets that American and Israeli strike packages have already mapped, ranged, and preloaded into guidance systems. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy has lost not just a ship. It has lost the strategic concept that ship embodied. And the broader picture makes that loss even more devastating. By the time Shahid Bagheri's fires were extinguished, she was one of 46 Iranian naval vessels destroyed or disabled in the same campaign. Iris Dina, Iran's most advanced frigate, already rested on the floor of the Indian Ocean.
17 additional naval platforms had been reduced to debris.
Iran's ballistic missile capacity had been cut by 90%. Its drone attack capability had been degraded by 83%. The Revolutionary Guard had launched a massive 52 missile saturation attack against Abraham Lincoln and achieved zero damage. In under 2 weeks, Iran's navy, the instrument Tehran had spent a generation building into a credible regional force, had effectively ceased to exist as a combat-capable organization.
There is something almost impossible to process about that timeline. 2 weeks.
Think about how long it takes to build anything that matters, a career, a reputation, a capability that other people take seriously. Iran spent 2 decades and enormous national treasure constructing a naval doctrine built around asymmetric surprise. It was dismantled in less time than most people take to decide on a major purchase. Whether you find that reassuring or unsettling probably says something about how you see American power right now, and reasonable people genuinely disagree on that. So here is the question that every strategic analyst from Washington to Beijing is sitting with. Iran built Shahid Bagheri in secret, converted her slowly over years, and believed she represented an instant game-changer for asymmetric naval power projection. The Americans destroyed her before she fired a single drone in combat. What does that tell you about the survivability of any military platform that lacks the sensor networks, the defensive layers, and the battle network integration that American carrier strike groups take for granted? And more importantly, what comes next? Iran has lost its fleet, its drone carrier, its missile capacity, and its propaganda credibility in 14 days. Does the Revolutionary Guard have anything left to play, or is this the moment Tehran finally accepts that the naval chapter of this conflict is permanently closed? And if it is closed, who else is quietly revising their own assumptions right now, watching the wreckage and running the math on their own doctrines?